If you did not bring it with you, that's all right. I'll give you stuff, but we'll give you one if you didn't bring it. On the ticket. Do you remember what you... Huh?
I could use one here. It's not quite here.
This is Joe over here. And we're also here tonight to have a little fun with Joe and have a little roast. The first thing we're going to have is his retirement. And Joe, I'd like for you to come up here, please. Sheila ate at home today. Not here.
Have fun, Joe.
We'll eat your share.
Well, we'll let you know how it is.
Joe's going to entertain while you have dinner.
Oh.
First of all, I would like to introduce to you tonight the people that put this on with a lot of hard work, and Howard DeGar over here was the one that worked the hardest. Howard, I think all of you a big hand because he deserves it. I thought he was going to have a nervous breakdown or give me one, but he didn't do either.
Hey, Helen, give him his dish.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. I hope everyone has a good time, and I know Joe's going to really enjoy it.
I'd also like to thank Louise Wilkie for helping on the committee. Louise? Here, you gotta kind of keep him separated from everybody else. First thing I would like to do, I'd like to call up Mr. Wayne Diggs to say a few nice words about him. Probably be the only nice words said tonight, Joe.
Good evening, Joe. Have they got the handcuffs out yet?
You got him with
You've already all been welcomed. You've already all been asked to have a good time. I think that you will, knowing the mechanics and servicers from Golden Gate Transit always have a good time. You are one hell of a group, and you should give yourself a hand for having a good time. And now,
having a good
Joe,
time?
they said that I had to only say nice things at this point, so I will. I have a fleet of cars that are totally worn out, but they're still running. They all have 199,000 miles on them. There's probably not anyone else in the world who could put up with the abuse that Joe has put up with from his fellow workers to keep those cars running, but they are still running. Joe, I don't know what else to say nice, except I hope you have a great retirement, and I'm going to save my time for later. Thank you.
That wasn't so bad, was it, Joe? Don't sit down yet, Joe.
Not yet, Joe.
I'd now like to call up Dwight Goff to say a few nice words about you. I mean, there's only two people going to say nice words, and this is them.
Hello, Joe. How you doing? Enjoy the evening so far? That's good. I probably roasted you most of your days at Golden Gate. But tonight I'm going to reverse that role a little bit and say a few things from my heart. Now, Joe came to us, and not too long after he arrived, he says, Dwight, once you get through the harassment from all of these people, this is a great place to work. It really is. I should have made the move sooner. It's almost like being retired. Well, Joe, now you are retired. I hope you enjoy this retirement as much as I hope you enjoyed your time at Golden Gate, because we cherished your time with us. I just want to wish you well and good health in your retirement, and don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
You know, come back and see us. Thank you, Joe.
Nice days here. Joe, the people at the shop, and that's all the mechanics here, want to give you a little gift to hang in your garage. It's a nice gift here. We want to give you this because we couldn't afford anything else. You know, the dinner costs too much money. I'm going to give you that.
Understand it. Okay?
Here.
Thank you. We have a little something for you and Helen, and I don't have my glasses.
Oh, these are good to eat. Oh, yes, I do.
You want me to stand up?
Yeah. This is for you and Helen, and this is from your fellow workers and your friends, Joe and Helen. Our retirement gift to you is a 2-night stay at Bally's in Reno, Nevada. A package includes accommodations for you and Helen for 2 nights, 1 drink, a keynote ticket, and a dinner for 2, and a Hello Hollywood, hello dinner show.
Read it off.
Oh, well, wait a minute. All you have to do is decide to go, when to go, and make your reservations and have fun. And with luck and all, maybe you'll get lucky.
She meant at the keynote table. I think. Actually, Joe, this is the real thing here. So don't lose this, huh?
Spending money.
I believe some of you didn't get a chance to sign this card. We tried to get it to everybody, but it was just impossible to get it all the way around. If you haven't signed it and you would like to sign it, Joe will be transit. And I sure do miss you, Joe, I tell you. And I think everybody that worked with Joe could say the same thing, that they all miss Joe. Joe, happy retirement. Do you want to say anything, or do you want to just keep a low profile?
Well, why don't you let him say something?
I gotta eat too.
You enjoy the salad? I haven't tasted it.
Huh?
Dog ate it.
The dog ate it. Well, folks, I appreciate everybody coming down and wishing me luck and joining me with the rest of the boys and the girls from Golden Gate Transit and Bridge and Ferry. And I'm a man of few words, so I'm going to say thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, Joe. We will have dinner now, and then a little bit later on, I'll introduce you to the roast master tonight. Where's Charlie?
Okay, good evening again. I thought it would be nice, since we don't get to see these people as often as we want to, is to have the retirees that are present stand up. We have Dolores DeRosa, Sam Bourne all the way from Reading, Earl Grant all the way from Pengrove, Del Turner all the way from the Air Quality Control Division. Joe Lopez all the way from Mexico. Stand up, Joe. And Walt Rossini. I did, okay. We also have a couple of other semi-dignitaries. I would like to introduce to all of you who don't know her, the Vice President of the Drivers Union, Trish Tucker, is here. All-time, good time emissary from the bridge, Bill Kidd, who we haven't seen much of. Also wanted to say, I heard it more of you guys. I miss you. I miss the, with all due respect to the drivers here, because we do have a lot of good drivers, but I miss the rational, common sense of the shop. Everything, all things being equal, though, I do miss you people a lot. I would like to congratulate Dwight and all of you for carrying on. I spend about 5% of my time thinking about maintenance and about 95% of my time thinking about other things. So I really am looking forward to this evening's proceedings. Where's Joe? There he is. Okay, so we'll let John take over now.
Thank you, Wayne. Joe,
Yes,
you come
sir.
up here, please. Would you take your seat of honor? Now, I'd like to introduce to you tonight our roast master, who I know is going to do an excellent job, Mr. Charlie Old Salt.
No problem. No problem. No problem on the salmon. I never got it. Make sure that Joe doesn't wave his arms. We got him and us. We got his brother here. Would you please stand up, Pete? His brother is retired from the San Francisco PD. Still got the handcuffs, no leg irons. His sister told me, no leg irons. But they got the handcuffs. When he waves his arms, the handcuffs go on. That's the only thing you gotta worry about. You ever see his hands? Boy, they're big ones. We don't know how bad we're gonna roast them. It's not a roast. Somebody brought the charcoal, we're gonna have a barbecue. He got roasted every day in the bus. Only the brave hit the bus. We don't know how bad it's going to be, so we're going to introduce his son and his daughter. We're going to start the program. Then we know where we can go. First of all, we should have Joe introduce his family. And at this table, we want to have Joe introduce his family.
My wife Helen.
Here, Joe. He said his wife Helen. That's the most courageous woman in the world.
This is my wife Helen. My daughter Diane. My son Mike.
What am I?
Daughter-in-law.
What about Pete?
My brother. My brother Pete.
That's the first time he ever said brother. He always said brother. Is that it? We got any more family here? That's it. Is that it? How many more you got?
All his grandchildren.
Breathe easy. Your kids are coming.
Give me a minute.
His son works for the, he's a member of the machine shop. His father told him it's a good deal. We get his money too. First, we'd like to have this lady, Mary, would like to show everyone, and especially Joe, the cake before we cut it. Joe, take a real good look.
Get a picture.
You got your glasses? Get them in focus.
Ray?
Pop goes home with you.
Oh,
This piece here goes home.
Won't be the same without
He
you.
might not talk to you later, Pete, but you take a look at it too.
Hey, Joe.
Friend in the hospital.
Is this coffee decaffeinated?
Hard worker, and he would work right on through the break sometimes. The morning break, he would work right on through it. 8 hours, he'd come home, dusty, tired, hard worker. But let's get back to the beginning. It was 1948. Dad, left tackle, starting left tackle for the Monsters of the Midway. It was during that first championship season that Dad went down with a torn left knee. George Halas called it a loss, a crippling loss to the team and a loss to football. It was after that that he met my mother. Now, he ended up in the Long Beach jail, and he always said it was Mafia connections. But actually, I think it was my grandfather. Now, he had a family, and it was time to get on with life, and he had to go out and get a steady job. He became an outhouse inspector. producer tied him over. We became the starting first baseman for the San Francisco Giants. He played for 3 years, 3 spectacular years, until he went down with that same left knee. It opened a spot for Willie McCovey, who went on to the Hall of Fame. He became lead guitar player for Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Call it divine intervention, but he didn't get on that plane that day. He became jaded with the music industry. I think he was afraid of the frequent air travel, whatever. He joined the space program. Here he is on the bridge of the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk after being plucked from the water of the Bering Sea. This was the Apollo 4 mission, I believe. Yeah, that's the ticket. The Apollo 4 mission. Yes, that's right. The 1984 Olympic trials at the age of 59. Here he is cutting the tape a full body length ahead of Carl Lewis. But again, it was the left knee. It flared up right after the race, and the U.S. track coach said it was a loss to the team and a real blow to freedom everywhere. Ronald Reagan heard of this courageous effort by the 59-year-old and invited him to the White House. Here he is with Ronald. That's right. They talked for quite a while, discussed the Contras, and after it was over, they promised to do lunch. Now my dad was taken with this Contra call. And so down south he went to become a freedom fighter. Liaison with Reagan and told him what was going on, and they became fast friends. Here he is on the ranch with Ronnie. Probably discussing Star Wars. Actually, it was a flock of incoming pigeons. Now, many of you did not know that at about this time he was introduced to Dr. Jonas Salk. And it was while they were in the chemistry club researching different things that he discovered and stumbled across a growth hormone. And it was this growth hormone that needed to be tested, and nobody would test it. And so my dad took it upon himself to inject himself on a Sunday night. The effects of the drug did not hit until until Monday morning when he was supposed to report to work at Golden Gate Transit. The effects hit him pretty fast, pretty hard, and he grew. But never once in those 8 hours did he leave his post. Now, I think it was, if I can remember, many of you last month, you saw the papal visit. The Pope was in town. Now, a lot of you may not know that John Paul was a foreign exchange student in this country around the 40s. Now, here is visiting, renewing all some old times in the neighborhood. That's showing on the old, and they got to talking about different things, playing different games, stickball, basketball, and sure enough, one thing led to another, and he couldn't slow JP down, but here he goes. He's up there with a jump shot, trying to put one by him, but Dad kind of went easy on him. Well, you know, life is kind of slowing down now. Dad's decided to retire, and they heard that John Molinari said, well, it's a loss to Golden Gate Transit, but what the heck, let a young guy have a chance. So my dad just pretty much tinkers around the yard now and fixes this, fixes that. He really doesn't have that many big plans. But then next year, it's 1988, and you never know what might happen. There he is, there he is. So let's get some up there.
At least 2 people. I was one of them that went through it 3 times. The company made me go through the first aid training 3 times. You'll find out why. I sent Joe to the hospital 4 times. They thought I had something doing with the doctors and the nurses over there, you know. They said, you didn't learn anything the first time, go again. But Joe was very honest. He always sat in the bus in the driver's seat. Every day, he said he'd never eat lunch with us again. Is that right, Joe?
Right.
He was the first one in the seat every day. These are some of the things that he shared with us. I tried to put them together in sequence the best I could. Joe was born and raised in San Francisco. And every day on his way to school, he'd stop at a bakery. Is that right, Joe? You got a bunch of donuts?
Yeah.
That's right, huh? And he washed the donuts down with Coca-Cola. So by lunch, he was sick. Is that right, Joe? Is it right? I'm not lying, right? This went on for a long time. He flushed the donuts down with Coca-Cola, so he was sick. The nurse sent him home. You see, he missed the English, excuse me, English, in the afternoon. That's why Joe has these pronunciation problems, like his brother, North Beach, Northgate, and sandwich. Now, a sandwich is something that he ate when his wife didn't make his lunch. He stopped down Smokies and got a sandwich. The Turner kid had problems with the sandwiches because he didn't want the mayonnaise. He wanted mayonnaise. He never got the mayonnaise. He didn't want the salad that went along on the sandwich. So he told Joe, it's all right to talk about this, isn't it, Wayne? You said it's all right to get the lunch okay, so fine. Joe used to pick up lunch sometimes, just on rare occasions. But the Turner kid didn't want any lettuce and tomato and onion. So he told Joe, I don't want the other stuff on there. So Joe got on the sandwich. Didn't have anything but turkey on it. The Turner kid used to go bananas. He said, geez, kids, you get mayonnaise. You ever eat a dry sandwich like that? And Joe didn't know what he was talking about because the Turner kid said sandwich. Joe's not used to that. Everyone in his era said sandwich and North Beach because that's Joe was. In fact, most of the people thought they all came from the East Coast. We also know that he helped his dad in the shoe shine business. His old man wound up with a bunch of property from shining shoes. You want to believe that? His own kid let the cat out of the bag when he said something about mafia. We ain't going to get into that. But Joe had a little trouble with colors.
Wait a minute, Charlie. Go too far.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mario's got a little something. Oh, wait a minute.
Should I give it to him?
Actually, wait a minute, Mario. That's because one of the sisters said, if somebody said something wrong, they could be fit with cement on the shoes. Now, I gotta tell you something. That's bull. Well, Joe used to help it. Are you sure you're not in the mafia too? Now this Joe used to help his dad in the shoe shine business. That's, come up with all this property in the shoe shine business. What do you think, Pete? Is that what you were told? He's younger. He was told a lot of things too. But Joe had a little trouble with colors and getting polish on the trousers. So his father advised him that that trade was not just right and he shouldn't get into the family business. So Joe went into the Army. And he was a cook. Can you believe that? He was a cook. He claims most of the people never got too hungry. They never quit complaining about the way he cooked. I suppose they never got used to the donuts and Coca-Cola. He says he was in New Guinea. And I said, no, Joe. That's what they called you when you first got over there, the New Guinea. This is all what went on in the bus. Smile, Joe. This isn't as bad as the kids. You went through it every day, right? You're all right. Don't go to the hospital. Get it over with. I got 17 more pages. He got out of the Army and he got married. Boy, that Helen's one wonderful woman. You know that she's got 3 closets full of boxes that Joe, of different things that Joe took apart. All stacked in boxes for when he retires. He goes walking the dog. Is it right now? Oh, does he put anything together? They had trouble with the, as I recall it, you had a little trouble with the microwave, right? So, you don't want to tell about that, do you? Don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Helen had a little trouble with the microwave. It wasn't working. It needed a new bulb. Joe said, I can fix it. She said, leave it alone. I'll get somebody in. This is not something that will fit in a closet in another box. Anyway, Joe went in the Army. After the Army, he got married to Helen. What a wonderful choice he made. She's got to have a lot of stamina, that woman. She's a wonderful woman. They were living in the old man's house. You know, the old man was still shining shoes, you know. Joe didn't pay too much board. The fact of the matter is, most of the time he didn't pay the board. That might answer some of the other questions that some of you guys got about the property, you know. Joe didn't pay for a number of years, you know. And then he'd go to the old man and he'd say, Dad, I forgot to pay you, Joe. Jesus, let it go. Is that right, Joe? I'm not lying about anything, right? No, it's the truth. No one knows how frugal Joe was, but I think Helen handled the money. I just got a sneaking suspicion he missed a little bit of math in that last section of school, too. Because he always had trouble with the turds and the 8s. Now, you figure this out. When the old man died, he split the property equally. Joe has 2 sisters and a brother. And of course, Joe's the oldest. Now, Joe got a turd. His wife got a turd. His sister got a turd. Now that's 3 turds, right? We haven't even got to his brother and his other sister and the brother's wife. That's 3 more turds. That's 2. When we asked him about a total of 2, he didn't know what we were talking about, so we dropped that. Joe's father finally retired, and he convinced Joe to move to Santa Fe so he could get some money for rent. Joe had a family started, so the old man thought it was about time for him to be on his own. So he worked in quite a few dealerships in Santa Fe before he came to Golden Gate Transit. Now you gotta realize, here's a guy that's almost like a lamb being led to slaughter when he came to Golden Gate Transit. Sorry, come on up here and say that, John. They got to hear it.
Go ahead.
He's so honest and so sincere that everybody wants to take care of him and take it. Now, one of the first things that we heard about was a dog. Helen, it's got to be your dog. Because he had no control over the dog. Joe has it in his mind he needs a hearing aid. And the dog ate the hearing aid. You know how they know that the dog ate the hearing aid? For 3 weeks there was a tremendous high-pitched sound coming from the dog's stomach until the battery ran down. During that time, he didn't have a hearing aid. That's when we found out there was nothing wrong with his hearing. Because no one ever said anything that he didn't hear. But he's thoroughly convinced he needed a hearing aid, and we now have a program where you can get a new one, so he got a new one. Doesn't take care of the batteries though, Joe, you know. The dog eats your spoon, make sure it's got a dead battery. Should we go from it?
It's gotta go.
I have 9 more stages. We also find out at that time that his wife made cookies. The poor woman didn't know how long to cook them. She had to cook them twice. You know, if you can imagine being married to Joe, you'd get confused too. She made these Anison cookies, and she brought them in there to the work. Joe brought them into work because Casella always wanted to have a cookie. You know, Rich's wife don't give him cookies. She gives him donuts. He doesn't have any Coke, though. Zucchini bread, all kinds of stuff. But Joe brought the cookies every day. And sometimes they were called these Anison cookies. Now, some of the guys in the shop had problem with these Anison cookies. Now, some of the questions that came up about the Anison cookies, boy, that's a trip, you know. It's like someone would say, how come she makes them with Anison? How come she doesn't use aspirin or Tylenol? They'd say, Anison, Anison, don't you know what I'm talking about? Well, how come she has to cook them twice? Don't she do it right the first time? No, she has to cut it. You can cut it after they're cooked, you know. They were real good cookies. Everybody told him. Now, Joe used to go home every night and tell his wife about that. Got no sympathy there either. You could see from his kids what was going on at home. We were easier with him than, you know, when he was going at home. He always talked highly about them, too. I imagine he must think we're princes. We used to park this bus next to a 50-gallon drum. The drum was at an arm's length from the driver's window. If you can picture Joe sitting right here and just reaching his arm out and dropping whatever it would be through the window into the drum. No problem. You ever see the length of his arm? Hold your arms out, Joe. Just put your arm out there. It's a lot longer than that. Now, if Joe had something to throw in that drum that was right next to the, you know, if it wasn't for bad luck, this guy wouldn't have any luck at all. Say, hey, Joe, throw this in the garbage. You can bet it landed on the floor. Well, when that happened, everybody had something to throw on the floor. Hey, Joe, throw this on the floor. Once in a while it hit the drum, but very seldom. Then he'd get out, geez, you guys are terrible, you know. Pick up all this stuff and put it in the garbage. So you should have been a servicer. Now, Joe had a couple of problems at Golden Gate. On one occasion, he had a little pain in his chest and in his left arm. Now, he worked close to Howard, And Howard was afraid that the guy was having a heart attack. He said, Joe, if you don't feel good, why don't you go home? Well, Joe didn't go home. Oh, I'll be all right, I'll be all right. So then Howard come into me and he said, hey, geez, you better take a look at Joe. Well, by that time, Joe's heart pressure, his blood pressure, and his pulse rate was about 440. He started worrying about himself. That's why I'm telling you, he's a very kind person. He worries a lot. His brother told me that tonight. He's always worried. He had ulcers when he was 11. Or was that the Coke or the donuts? Well, he thought he had ulcers at 11. So when we got him in the first aid room, we thought, geez, you go to the first aid, pain in the chest, down the left arm. Take his pulse, and it's going about 400. Don't take any chances, take him up to the hospital. So we took him up to Kaiser. Now the story is, it's really a balloon. He beat me back to the shop. It's not really true. It's not really true. Because the doctor recommended that he have donuts and Coke. So they were waiting for the donuts. Then he had a little trouble with his back. Now Joe has had trouble with his back. He's got one kidney, so he's really worried. That turned out to be gas. No donuts and Coke that time. I think he visited his brother at that time. Did you go over to see him? He said you never come over to see him, by the way.
Not too often.
Yeah, you better come over here now. I must have.
You lost the page, good.
Joe's got one of the first dollars he ever earned. It's a silver certificate. Somebody asked him if he purchases it with any gold coins. I did get mixed up here. Now, the honest, keep with it, you see his arm? Well, I tell you what, I lost a page or two here. I know there's more than this.
Oh, that's about it.
That's about it?
Everybody's
What?
Where was you about the spark plug wires you got crossed?
But forget the spark plug wire. Forget that. We gotta be kind to Joe. This is kind to Joe week.
The week is over.
Oh, you hear that? His daughter is saying, the week is over, the week is over. Give him help. Diane, you're in for trouble. Now, we got a few presentations. Just can't pass this up. You think they're for Joe, huh? They're not. Helen, you gotta come up here. Everybody gets right. See, there's somebody else besides myself that married good-looking women. Here's some Anison for the cookies. Don't forget it's Christmas time, huh? Here's some flour. I was going to get you something so that you know how to cook. The first time is not how to cook in water. Don't forget the Anison, though. Tell me the truth. Would Tylenol wouldn't work? They don't have it in capsules anymore, Joe always told us he never got anything from the union. So I picked this stuff up over at the hall. I spent quite a bit of time over there. I got him a pen. It says Machinist Union. You gotta buy this stuff, you know. You gotta. There's no freebies. The freebie is the pocket liner. You even have to buy the damn ruler. It's got conversions in there, Joe, so you'll know what the metric is. Doesn't say anything about cups. Nothing about cooking either. This is for you, Joe. I still think I lost a page or two. There's gotta be more. Hey, come on, Priscilla, give me a hand here. There's gotta be more. And we got these pills. It says retirement pills. It says instructions. Now that your someday has finally arrived, take as needed to overcome the boredom of fishing, excuse me. Joe asked me he said, you know, then I'm retiring now. You think I ought to join the Ring Rod and Gun Club? He heard there's a bunch of Italians down there, you know. They all speak Italian. I said, do you like to hunt and fish? He said, no. But I might like it. I said, why don't you try it first? You can always join the club after. Boy, this guy is come up to me every day talking about retirement. I said, Joe, when you get ready to retire, have your wife come and see me. I'll explain it to her. You take this to overcome any of the boredom of fishing, hunting, golfing, swimming, gardening, reading, traveling, dancing, partying, motorhoming, and sightseeing. It's got a warning on there. Your life may be so full, you may wonder how you ever had time to go to work. Take them in peace, Joe. Now, everyone that ever visits the Golden Gate Bridge from the East Coast always thinks that that bridge is supposed to be gold. So we got a gold rivet. It's really not gold. It's just gold plated. But it's gold. And we got it on a little plaque here, and it says original rivet from the bridge. Now, Diane did not get us a deal on it. It's homemade, Joe, believe me. When you see the bubbles all over it, you know it's homemade. This is for you, Joe. No. Helen, you hang this. He'll do something with it. He'll drop it or something. Now, I believe Ingrid would like to come up here. Ingrid works at the ferry. I think Joe messed up down there a time ago.
Get another ferry vehicle repaired at bus on time for the emergency or whatever. So I would. I'd much rather just give Joe a hug and thank him very much for all he's ever done for us, because he's had to take the ribbon not only at bus for doing ferry vehicles, also from us for never having him on time. So I really don't want to say anything because I'm not very good at this. So what we decided to do, his ferry friends, Alex, Loretta, and myself, is to put together a little song for Joe. And we had to take the lyrics of a very popular Christmas song. It's the only thing that was befitting for Joe. And we renamed it the Joe Ditto song. It wasn't all that easy. Alex did the lyrics. Then we had to send it up to the North Pole to get Santa and his 19 reindeer to approve, of which most of them never heard of Marin County. They're all from San Francisco. So it was rather difficult, but they did, and here it is. Loretta? Now, the only one that can boo is Joe to get back in. Huey Lewis couldn't make it, so here we are. You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not shout, we're telling you why. Ditto's got a hold of your car. Joe knows just how to tear cars down, he gets damn good advice. Don Webb and guys all tell him how, for the rest it's computerized. You better watch out, you better not cry, better not shout, we're telling you why. Joe Ditto's repairing your car. Joe knows enough to track things down. He tracks his dirt all over town. Joe tells fairies Ingrid Fink her car should all be pushed in the drink. You better watch out, you better not cry, better not shout, we're telling you why. Joe Ditto is dismantling your car. Joe knows just what ails your heap, he owns a wrench or two. And if things ain't going as they should, Joe knows he'll keep your car for good. So you better watch out, you better go cry, you better go shout, we're telling you why. Joe Ditto has just done in your car. We also have a little gift from the three of us. Alex, of course, couldn't be here, and we'd like Joe to open this and read it.
This ferry division, every once in a while, uses coffee and donuts. And one day, we got donuts. A nut and a screw in a plastic bag. Oh. Truck won't run. No, it is the work thing on it. This is October 10th, 87, truck 91. Defect for repair by Joe, successor.
Successor.
Successor. All right. Truck won't run. Try undo Ditto's last tune-up. Pry loose tools Joe left under the hood. Now melted onto the engine block. Clean up foot and handprints all over vehicle. Interior that matches those left on Ingrid's office. At Ingrid's office. Returned to Joe his repair manual, which he done with Edsel repair manual anyway.
Happy retirement, Joe. Many thanks.
Joe and I go back several years. We stood in a picket line in front of Jack Hunt. I think it was in the 60s, and Jack Hunt was someone that both Joe and I both had worked for, and he offered us chairs. I could understand for Joe, but I wasn't completely bald at the time. Wayne Diggs would like to have something to say now. He's not done with his fry. Wayne? By the way, you know, most of the management was very, very pleased with Joe. Because of Joe, no, they're getting new cars. He thoroughly convinced them that they couldn't be fixed. They gotta get new ones. I don't know whether it's premature mileage or what, but they're getting new ones.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm going to try and make this short and sweet. There's a question that everyone asks when they come in the shop and they see the cars that Joe's working on. And they don't say this out loud, but they come into Don White's office or they come into my office. And it's always the same thing. How the hell did this guy get hired? I know that all of you don't probably know about the hiring policies of Golden Gate Transit, but I'm going to tell you how Joe got hired. It starts out with some people that no longer work for us. One of them had a high-ranking position in the shop, a position of trust, and that person is an expert watching other mechanics at Muni now fixing buses. And he comes to me and he says, now that none of the cars run, because the mechanic just before Joe couldn't keep them running, it had been, the old Peter principle, you keep going up and up and up. So none of the cars were running. None of the cars were running, and he says, you got to hire a real good mechanic. And he said, I know just the guy. And he says, and besides, he says, it'll give you some points on your hiring people that are old. So I say, okay, who is this guy? And he said, well, he works across the street at the Chrysler dealership. So I said, well, get an application, we'll take a look at it. So we're checking references, and we call the shop foreman or the manager of the shop over at this Chrysler dealership, and I say, tell him who I am, and that we're thinking of hiring one of your people, and we'd like some references. He said, oh yeah, who's that? And I says, a guy named Ditto. He says, oh, well, God, he said, I'd like to come over and talk to you. So he comes over, takes me to a very expensive lunch, offers me an envelope, and he says, this guy is really qualified. We'd like to have you hired. So I said, okay, well, thank you for the recommendation, thank you for the lunch, we'll think about it. Well, about 3 days later, the owner of this Chrysler dealership calls me. He says, come on over, I'd like to talk to you, He's got this brand new Chrysler sitting there. He says, I've got the pink slip here in my hand, it's a demo, but what's your name? Are you going to hire Ditto? I said, well, we're still thinking about it, and we're still thinking about it. So a few days later, we're in contract negotiations now, and the guy says, are you going to settle with the mechanics? And I said, well, I think so, but it's tough, And he said, well, in these days, Chrysler was also selling boats. So I go home, and there in my driveway is a brand new sailboat. Well, I can't take this thing. So I had the sailboat delivered to somebody else during negotiations, as you all know. But anyhow, that's the story of how Joe got hired. I'm driving a Chrysler. Someone else has got a sailboat, and someone else is a very important person with the Joymans. So anyhow, that's how Joe got hired. I also would like to tell you that I don't regret for a minute that we hired Joe, because my car still runs, but they always keep my car running somehow. There's a lot of other people that I wonder about. But I really don't want to roast Joe, because he has been thoroughly roasted, barbecued, and baked for about the last 7 years. So I would just say, Joe, have a real good retirement.
Thank you.
Sit down.
They all want to get
Does
the
anybody
dance.
else want to come up?
They want to dance.
Who wants to dance?
All the guys back there.
Joe, from our extended family to yours, happy retirement, peace be with you, all of you.
Thank you.
And to the rest of our family, peace be with you. That's it, let's dance. Thank you.